Then on Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 1 matchup between the LSU Tigers and the Florida State Seminoles. Both teams have come back to life in recent years. Both teams expected to be national contenders this season, and rightfully so. You consider the experience on both sides, the talent on both sides. Both these teams could definitely be big contenders this season. And I mean, for all we know, this matchup in Week 1 could determine which one of these teams is in the Final Four at the end of the day. So a huge match for both teams coming up here. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. With that, let's get started. This matchup being on the Sunday night of Week 1. This isn't even a Saturday game, and it's far and away the biggest game of the week. You got top 8 matchup here. LSU is ranked 5th in the AP poll. Florida State number 8, not far behind, and it totally makes sense to see both these teams in the top 10. You consider the rise that both teams had last season really were improved, and also the return of production for both teams as well, which has been excellent. I mean, Florida State returns just as many of their key players as anyone in the country, and LSU obviously has got tremendous experience, especially on offense. Jaden Daniels coming back, who broke through last season, had a really good year. And even you look at the talent offensively for them, and even for Florida State, Jordan Travis being back, I mean, all around, both teams are going to be loaded offensively, especially. And so it's critical for both teams here. And it's going to be in Orlando, kickoff 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going LSU here by 2.5. Over-under is 56.5. FPI is also going on the LSU side, 66%. If you remember back to last season, we saw these two teams on the Sunday night of Week 1 as well. Florida State won it 24-23 in an incredible matchup, which at that time, I mean, both teams didn't really have high expectations heading into the season, not super high expectations, especially Florida State. So, I mean, we really didn't know what to expect there, but turns out those two teams in that Week 1 matchup turned out to be really good football teams last season. And as we look forward to 2023, this is a huge matchup, one of the biggest. You could probably argue it's maybe even the biggest matchup of September in a way. You consider LSU and Florida State, two teams that are expected to be national contenders. It definitely makes sense. Your stat comparison: LSU last season 28th in points per game, 31st in points allowed. Overall, a really balanced team. Same goes for Florida State, 18th in points per game, and then 23rd in points allowed. If you're looking at weaknesses from last season for Florida State, you could probably say the rush defense, as they were 75th there. But they were 6th in pass defense, so a really strong defensive secondary this team had last year. And for the most part, I mean, this team is returning most of their key players. And, I mean, same goes for LSU as well. Both teams are really experienced and stacked heading into the season. Your key points for this one: LSU 10-4 last year. Both teams were 10-win teams, and LSU is back. They're a true national contender. I mean, since 2019, I mean, we knew how much this team fell off in 2020, and it makes sense why. You consider how much talent they lost. So a couple of coaching changes, and I mean, fast forward to 2022, this team really impressive, 10-4, and made it to the SEC championship game. And really in 2023, wouldn't be surprised if they made it back there, and who knows, maybe even made it past that. That is even more of a possibility, I think, for this team in 2023. And Jaden Daniels, Arizona State transfer quarterback, we knew back in 2019 when he first came on the scene for ASU that he was a quarterback with a lot of potential. Really never reached it, though, during the rest of his time at Arizona State. He transfers to LSU, and last season he was incredible. True dual-threat quarterback, and he's going to be brutal to stop in 2023. Keep an eye on him for even maybe being a Heisman contender. He's truly a very talented player, and he's tough to beat, that's for sure. And I mean, this offense is stacked defensively, could be brutal as well. LSU's got strong argument to be one of the top teams in the country this season. Florida State has returned to major contention. Florida State has been a little bit longer since this team has been a true national contender. I mean, they had 10 wins back in 2016, and then from 2017 to 2021, all really down seasons, really never were near that level. And they got back up to 10 wins last season. And I mean, they won the national championship in 2013. That feels like such a long time ago, but truly it was just about 10 years ago. And I mean, who knows? Florida State could be a team that could be a pretty big contender. And I mean, the truth is, though, both these teams can't be major national contenders. I mean, we can maybe see a scenario where both teams end up in the college football playoff, but considering these two teams play each other in week 1, that is pretty unlikely. So this is as crucial as it gets for both teams here in week 1. Truly a matchup that can have long-term implications all the way to December. So both teams being built for college football playoff runs. Let's get into the prediction now, coming up here in week 1. And this is a matchup that really could go either way. It's as close as it really gets, but I'm going to be going with LSU here. 34-20 is my predicted final score. I think LSU finds a way, wins this game by a couple of field goals, and it's going to be, I mean, the margin is really small for this matchup. I mean, it really could go either way. You got two teams that are very similar, I feel like. I mean, it's going to be tough, and I do think that this is one of those 50-50 games, but I just think LSU finds a way. They avenge the loss from last season. They find a way in this matchup, and they get a massive win in week 1. And, I mean, it's truly going to be close, and it could honestly be one of the games of the year. I really could see that happening here. LSU, I've got them 55%. I'm taking the over for this one, the over 56.5. I think we see a higher scoring matchup here, both offenses being as stacked as they are. I mean, both defenses are great as well, but I do think offense kind of prevails here, and LSU covers the spread in the end. But, I mean, this is far and away the biggest matchup of week 1 coming on Sunday night, too. Definitely want to keep an eye on that. Could have some long-term implications. Appreciate you guys all watching as always. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.